Have you ever thought of someone you haven't spoken to in years, and within minutes, they call you out of the blue? Not a text, not a voicemail, but an actual honest-goodness ring. It feels like the universe just winked at you, doesn't it? Hold on to that feeling, because today, we're going to dig into why that glitch might not be random at all. It could be the clearest, most compelling evidence that the cosmos is conscious and it's trying to get your attention. I was sitting in a quiet cafe last winter, lost in thought, writing about dragonflies specifically, how they symbolize transformation. The place was practically empty, just the clink of distant coffee cups. Then, a kid walks past my table, stops, and pulls a toy dragonfly right out of his pocket. He places it next to my laptop, looks up, says it wanted to say hi, and just walks away. His mom, flustered, starts to apologize, but I'm too stunned to speak. What are the odds of that? Hadn't mentioned dragonflies out loud, hadn't even typed the word yet. That moment felt utterly coded, like reality had slipped in a personal message just for me. This isn't just a quirky anecdote. It's a classic example of what the legendary Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung called synchronicities. These are meaningful coincidences. It's events that aren't linked by cause and effect, but by profound personal meaning for the observer. And here's the kicker. The wild part is that modern physics is actually starting to agree with this seemingly mystical idea. For the last 300 years or so, mainstream science has drawn a really strict line. Mind over here, matter way over there. It's painted a picture of the universe as a giant. Impersonal billiard table particles bump, energy transfers, and consciousness. Well, that's just a lucky accident, a byproduct of complex chemistry. Under that old map, my dragonfly moment is nothing more than pure statistical noise. You flip a coin enough times, and eventually you'll hit 10 heads in a row. It's just a random chance. But that explanation feels thin, doesn't it? Completely ignores the goosebump factor, that undeniable inner certainty that something just spoke to you. Carl Jung, a brilliant Swiss psychiatrist, certainly wasn't satisfied with just chance either. He understood that these experiences, while defying conventional causality, held immense psychological weight and often triggered profound personal insights. So he decided it was time to chart a new map of reality, one that could account for these deeply meaningful causal connections. Jung proposed something radical, that mind and matter aren't separate at all, but rather two faces of the same underlying reality. What he called the unus mundus, the one world. In this integrated view, events can be linked by meaning, not just by mechanical cause and effect. Think about it. Two friends on opposite sides of the planet, independently by an identical pair of bright red shoes on the very same day. There's no direct causal chain connecting their purchases, no shared advertisement, no text message. Yet, something subtly ties them together. A shared taste, a shared timing, a shared meaning. Jung labeled these causal connections, and they sit right at the heart of synchronicity. But to give this concept scientific credibility, he needed more than just captivating anecdotes. That's where Wolfgang Pauli comes in, a Nobel-winning quantum pioneer. Pauli was already wrestling with the profound weirdness of the subatomic world, where particles behave like paired dancers, seemingly connected no matter how far apart he pulled them. The two brilliant minds teamed up, exchanging letters, swapping dreams, and meticulously forging what we now know as the Pauli-Jung conjecture. This groundbreaking idea posits that reality is psychophysical mind stuff and matter stuff fundamentally entangled at the root. Double aspect theory suggesting that mental and physical realms are complementary aspects of a single deeper reality, challenging the Western scientific emphasis on causality and aligning more closely with Eastern philosophies that embrace a causality and meaningful coincidence as fundamental to existence. Quantum physics, with its mind-bending discoveries, hands us three crucial puzzle pieces that slot perfectly into Jung's model of a psychophysical reality. First up is entanglement, where two particles can share a single, unified state. Measure one, and the other instantly responds, no matter if it's across the lab or on the far side of the galaxy. The connection isn't a signal traveling through space. It's in a causal correlation, like mirror images, responding without a mirror. Decades of rigorous experiments have repeatedly confirmed this spooky action at a distance, proving that these correlations can't be explained by any hidden local variables. This leads to non-locality. It works because, at a fundamental level, being local is optional. Information about what belongs together doesn't need to travel from point A to point B. It's already baked into the system's very fabric. Jung saw this same pattern mirrored in human experience. People separated by oceans can feel profoundly linked because, at a deep, unconscious layer, they were never truly separate to begin with. It suggests an inherent interconnectedness that transcends physical distance. Then there's the observer effect. It shows that before we measure it, a quantum object exists as a hazy cloud of probabilities. The mere act of looking at it, of measuring it, collapses that haze into a definite result. Now, swap looking for paying attention, and you start to grasp the psychological side of synchronicity. When you consciously notice a pattern, you don't just observe it. You might actually help crystallize it. Suddenly, dragonflies, specific numbers, or certain names seem to keep popping up everywhere you look. It's as if your conscious focus draws these meaningful events into sharper relief, making them manifest in your experience. Put together, these quantum phenomena don't just hint at. They strongly sketch a universe where separation is merely a convenient fiction. And consciousness isn't a passive spectator, but an active, participating force. If particles can sync without cables, why couldn't minds and the events they experience do the same? It suggests a universe that is fundamentally conscious, where mind and matter are intertwined aspects of a unified reality. Have you ever had a moment that screamed, "This is absolutely not chance"? I mean, a real head-scratcher? Drop your story in the comments below. I genuinely read every single one. I'm convinced the universe compiles its source code in your replies, offering glimpses into its grand design. If reality truly is an entangled mesh, a vast interconnected web, then meaning isn't some luxurious optional extra. It's the fundamental infrastructure. This flips the script on conventional self-help, turning it into something more like cosmic protocol. So, how do you learn to surf this conscious universe? How do you engage with it? First, state your question. This isn't about making a desperate plea or wishing into the void. It's about sending out a clear, focused inner signal. Something like, "Show me what I need to see about my next big step," or "Guide me toward the path that serves my highest purpose." Clarity here is key. Second, relax the filter. This is probably the hardest part for most of us. Put the phone down, let the endless playlist pause, allow a little boredom to creep in. Synchronicities rarely, if ever, manage to punch through the constant noise of a scrolling thumb or a busy mind. You need to create space to be open and receptive to the subtle cues the universe might be sending. Third, log the hits. Start a simple note on your phone or a small journal and title it "Weird." Jot down anything that feels like more than coincidence, repeating numbers, specific song lyrics that hit differently, unexpected animal sightings, or even overheard phrases that resonate powerfully. After just a couple of weeks, you'll likely start seeing patterns emerge. Maybe every time you doubt your current project, a white van with the word "trust" emblazoned on the side passes you. That's not random. It's bespoke feedback from a universe paying attention. A coincidence ignored is like a cosmic conversation hung up on. When that dragonfly kid walked away from my table, I didn't just shrug it off, finished the article, refined it, pitched it, and it went on to become my most shared piece that year. Coincidence? Sure, but only after I did my part. The universe offers the cue, but you have to be willing to dance. But isn't this just confirmation bias? That's a fair question, and yes, absolutely partially. Humans are, by nature, pattern-seeking missiles. Our brains are wired to find connections, sometimes even where none exist. Yet, the existence of bias doesn't prove that all patterns are fake. It simply proves that we're magnificently built to notice them. Jung's profound point was that some patterns are so statistically improbable that they truly deserve a deeper look. Pauli's contribution was to show that fundamental physics actually underwrites the very possibility of such a causal connections. If confirmation bias were the whole story, those rigorous Bell test experiments would have easily wiped out the concept of entanglement decades ago. Instead, they confirmed it with overwhelming statistical certainty. A truly conscious cosmos, an interconnected one world, changes everything about how we perceive reality and our place within it. Morality. If we're all connected at a fundamental level, then acts of kindness, don't just affect the recipient. They ripple across a hidden mesh, strengthening the fabric of reality. Cruelty, conversely, sends discordant vibrations through that same interconnected web. Identity. You're no longer just an isolated thinker trapped in a skull, but a vibrant, indispensable node in a vast, self-aware, evolving web of consciousness. Your individual experiences contribute to the greater cosmic awareness. It's making your personal journey universally significant. And death. Perhaps it's not an end, but merely a phase change in the psychophysical field, a transformation rather than annihilation. Tonight, before you drift off to sleep, try this simple experiment. Hold an image in your mind, let's say an emerald feather. Don't force it, just let it gently drift like a screensaver in your internal vision. Over the next 3 days, keep a casual lookout for green feathers. Maybe you'll see one on a billboard, or in a child's craft project, or hear a random mention on a podcast. Count how many show up. If you hit 0, shrug it off. But if 3 or 4 green feathers tap you on the shoulder, you'll begin to feel what Jung felt. He described a patient recounting a dream about a golden scarab beetle, and at that very moment, an actual scarab beetle flew into his consulting room. That wasn't just coincidence. It was an outer echo powerfully answering an inner call. So, was that dragonfly kid a random glitch in my day? Or maybe reality was simply flexing a muscle, subtly reminding me and now you that it's alive, it's alert, and it's absolutely up for a conversation. Synchronicities are its texts, its subtle pings. All we have to do is learn to read them, and then, crucially, text back with our choices and our actions. Next time the phone rings, the very second you think of the caller, don't just dismiss it. Smile at that cosmic ping, pick up, and confidently say, "Message received." Because once you truly start to recognize the pattern recognizes you, and the profound conversation with the universe never really ends. Thanks for watching. If this resonated with you, consider subscribing and hitting the bell so you don't miss our next conversation.